Hey, good evening. Good evening. Happy Thursday for those who celebrate Thursday. How's everybody doing tonight? All right, we're gonna have a good one this evening. I got several questions I got emailed into me here this week that we're gonna go over, and we're gonna jump on that, guys. If you're new to this, we do this every single Thursday. Rain or shine does not matter. We are doing this. We come on every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. This is totally free. I'm here to help everybody, and we'll talk about mobiles as well. I always train on something for about 10 to 15 minutes. Today, we're going to talk about what you need to do if you're looking to sell your home very, very quickly. And then I'm going to go into the questions that we go through every week. Like I said, I think we've got, looks like we got 4 questions that came in. One, this is our first time that we've ever had a question come in via voicemail. Never had that. People calling the office and asking questions, which was exciting. And one from YouTube and a couple from email as well. So we'll do that, and then we'll finish up the hour doing some group questions. So if you have questions in the chat, feel free to go ahead and drop them here in the chat, and I will put my email here in the chat as well to make sure the chat's on and live. If you have any questions during the week that you want me to answer as a group, I'm more than happy to do that, and we'll get going. So again, we do this every single Thursday. I only ask you 2 favors. If you could do us a huge one, smash that thumbs up. That lets everybody know in our community that we are live. That'll get more people interested into our live stream series. And then number 2, I always ask people, if you haven't yet done so, do us a huge favor, smash that subscribe button in the upper right-hand corner. It's not going to cost you a dime. And that way you're going to be a part of the Mobile Home Dealer YouTube community as we continue to grow and continue to bring you the best information here in the entire industry. So with that being said, as I always say it, friends, if you're ready, I'm ready. And welcome to our Thursday night live stream. We're talking tonight about an awesome topic. A lot of times people don't talk about this very often. And if you have been part of any of these live streams, you know that I always want to talk about the topics that unfortunately don't get addressed, and we talk about them here. So tonight I'm going to discuss a couple of quick tips and insider tips, I would say, about what do you need to do if you need to sell your home very, very quickly. Now, when I do these training sessions every Thursday on our live streams, a lot of these things I talk about are going to be based towards mobile homes because after brokering about over 600 mobile homes, I feel like I see patterns that I want to share with other folks in the community. But if you're new to the industry and you're in a single family home, maybe you're in a condo, maybe a townhome, a lot of tonight's discussion during this training session, you can use whether you're trying to sell a single family home very quickly, a condominium, a townhome, or the manufactured homes. Okay. So we're going to talk mainly about what's going to happen if you need to sell it very fast. Okay. Life happens to us all, happens to family members. We don't really know what's going to happen around the corner. And we have to know that if you need to sell the property, how to get rid of it, exactly how to get rid of it very, very quickly. Okay. And that's what I'm going to talk about here tonight. So the first big item that nobody ever wants to talk about, but I'm more than happy to discuss it tonight, is going to be price. Okay. I know that sounds unoriginal, but please hear me out. Price is going to drive home sales in this market. Okay. Now, when we talk about price, when we talk about mobile homes, okay, a lot of times people always think that if they're trying to sell their home fast, they want to price it similarly to other houses that are currently for sale. Okay. So let's just make up a scenario and kind of drive this one home for you. Let's say you have a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, double wide home. Let's say it's a newer property, maybe 10, 15 years old. Let's say you've done some updates. Maybe you did some new painting, maybe some new appliances. There's a couple other homes in the neighborhood that are 2-bed, 2-bath, double wides, give or take the same year, give or take the same condition. People then think, oh, well, then I should price my home similarly to the other homes that are for sale, right? That makes sense because that's what a 2-bed, 2-bath, double wide is going for in my area. Friends, I would definitely disagree with that theory. Here's why. Homes that are selling are not the same price for homes that have sold. In this market, if you're looking to sell your manufactured home quickly and with less friction, you've got to price your home to make it the no-brainer option that the buyer is looking to pull the trigger and buy. Okay? Let me say that a different way. If all these other homes that are similar to you are within, say, 5 to 10%, okay, there's a reason, okay, that those homes are still for sale. If you go and you price the home very similarly to that, or the worst case scenario, right in the middle, everybody's selling their house between 30 and 40, you put it at 35. The whole concern and the whole idea of getting lost in the shuffle, that's a real thing in this business. Okay. There's never been this many homes for sale in the manufactured home space that I've ever seen in my 5 years of doing this. So if you price your home kind of just like every other home, you're probably going to get the same results that just about everybody else is going to get. And that's the home not getting sold as quick as you need it to get sold. Now, am I asking you, or am I suggesting to sell the home at a rock bottom price? No, I'm not. A lot of times people use the term, well, Mark, I don't want to give the house away. I'm not alluding to that. I'm not alluding to you, losing a bunch of money on something like that or anything of the sort. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that if you need to sell the home very quickly, you've got to make it the no-brainer option. If you price it very closely or just about the exact same as all the other homes in the market, more than likely the home's not going to sell, because the buyer is going to be able to look at all the homes and they're going to say, why do I want Mark's house when Larry and Joe and Bobby's house are all about the same? Nothing is going to pop out. Nothing is going to set your property apart from all the other homes. So number one, price it to make it be the no-brainer option in that neighborhood. Okay, that's the best one. Number two, when you're looking to sell your home very quickly, you have to prepare it to make sure that it is ready to sell. Now, that sounds silly, I know, but believe me, after doing this as long as the mobile home dealer has been in business, I continue to see homes all the time that are for sale that we take listings for, or that I go and I tour, that they want us to sell the home and they're just not ready to be sold. Okay. And I'm not talking about they're moving and they have some boxes. No, I'm talking about there's a lot of things that are broken in the house that can easily be fixed. Okay. Such as the AC doesn't work. Okay. The thermostat is broken. The back shower doesn't work. Why? I don't know. It just doesn't work. Those types of things, those small issues are going to lead to bigger and bigger problems. Okay. Because that is going to make the buyer think, well, gosh, if the back shower doesn't work, or if the toilet doesn't flush in the back bedroom, okay, they're immediately going to start to think what other problems are coming around the corner. Okay. A lot of times what I see people do is they don't set their home up to be sold because they don't fix those small items. And at the same time, they go forward and they price their home just like every other house. That's a double negative. Okay, that's a double whammy. Okay, because now we're pricing our home at the exact same price that their homes are at, which isn't going to make the house the no-brainer option. Well, at the second time, even when you get a buyer who's interested, whether you get a buyer on your own or you work with somebody like the mobile home dealer, then at that point in time, the house is not going to jump out because the things are broken. The house doesn't work. You always want to make sure that the house actually works. Okay, that sounds silly, but you want to make sure the house works. So the roof is dry, the AC is cool, the plumbing works, all that kind of stuff. Now, if you have a door handle that's kind of wonky, if you've got a window that's cracked, if the dryer works every once in a while, don't really lose sleep over that. But because those things aren't really going to matter at the end of the day that much to a buyer. But if a lot of these things aren't working, if the house doesn't work, then the house is usually not ready to be sold. Okay. So do the best you can, as affordably as you can, to try to get the things to work. So when a buyer comes forward and you have the house priced at a no-brainer purchase number, then the buyer's like, well, yeah, the house works. It's a no-brainer. Yeah, the refrigerator doesn't work and the dishwasher is a little sketchy. That's okay because the roof is dry, the AC is cool, the shower works, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so make sure the home is a no-brainer price at the price point and that the home actually works. Okay, so the next thing you have to understand is when you're looking at pricing the home, I feel like a broken record, but please hear me out. When we're talking about pricing the home, you have got to understand if the home that you're selling can actually be financed. Okay. Now, a lot of times people think that homes in parks with lot rent, there's no hope in getting the home financed. That's not true. There are actually several different finance companies. And on a sidebar, after going to the Biloxi, Mississippi home show last week, expect to see even more finance companies come into the industry here by the end of the year, which is very exciting. There are plenty of home companies or loan companies that will finance mobile homes in parks on leased land. Okay, a lot of people don't think that's true. It is true. There's half dozen off the top of my head that I can raffle off. Now, the key though is you have to understand if your home can actually be financed. Generally speaking, homes that are older than 1976 won't be able to get financed by these companies. Why is that? Well, because in 1976, the the government agency HUD, Housing and Urban Development, came out. In that year, they then changed mobile homes to manufactured homes. Well, that matters because most finance companies will not finance homes that are older than a 76. Why does this matter? Well, it matters because if your home is older than a 76, like at the mobile home dealer, we sell a lot of 1972, 73s, we sell a lot of 75s. In that situation, if the home can't be financed, we have to expect that there's a cash buyer because there's no company that'll finance it. If there's no company that'll finance it, then we have to take our seller hat off and we have to put our buyer hat on and think, okay, if there's no finance company that's going to finance this, I have to look for a cash buyer. How much cash do we think the average person is walking around with in their back pocket to buy a manufactured home? That's something we really have to look at because we have to put our buyer hat on, take our seller hat off, and immediately think, who's going to be buying my house? Now, I understand your house is the best house. It's the best house everywhere. I get that. But you want to make sure that you put your buyer hat on and not just say, well, my house is the best house. Logically, it's going to sell. Friend, I'm sure your house is the best house in the world. I don't doubt that. However, we also have to take a step back and think about, if I'm a buyer, why would I want to buy your house over Andy's house or over Sarah's house? You get what I mean? We have to think about financing. The house can't be financed. We have to look for a cash buyer. If we have to find a cash buyer, how much cash do you think the average buyer is going to be walking through your neighborhood with? That's something you have to think about when you're pricing your home. Next up, if you're selling your home in a community, okay, if you're selling a home in a community and you have a park manager, okay, and there's a park approval process. Okay, now if you're brand new to this, I won't talk about it, in detail for the veterans on the channel. But I will say that most parks are going to have some type of a park approval process. Okay. So in that situation, with the park approval process, most buyers are going to have to get approved based on three things: money, criminal record, credit score. Now, I won't jump into all the details. It's not the topic of today's conversation. But if I'm selling a home at a park, I've got to go and talk to the park manager. And I have to say, park manager, it's Mark at lot 102. I'm selling my house. What do you expect from a buyer to get approved at the park? So many times, sellers that we work with don't do this. And so many times, sellers that we work with are surprised when buyers don't get approved to buy their home. Now, you may hear me say that on a few of our voiceovers, right? With the home tours, I'll say something like, this home had an accepted offer, but the buyer didn't get approved at the park. I'm not saying that to fill up dead airspace. I'm being truthful. Probably 3 or 4 times out of 10, that's reasonable. 30 to 40% of the time, whether it's myself or one of the mobile home dealer team members, they'll go and they'll sell the house. They'll have an accepted offer. They'll have a deposit. They'll be ready to go. The buyer won't get approved at the park. We have to resell the house and then resell the house and then resell the house. I think the record, we have a team member in Sebring. I think they sold a house, 5 or 6 times because people continued to get denied. Okay. Now, as brokers and as team members with the mobile home dealer, we do the best we can to try to pre-approve people as best as we can. But it would help out tremendously if you're selling the home and you have a working idea of what the park expects for an approval. Okay. So let's say you're trying to sell the house by yourself. Let's say you're not using the mobile home dealer. You're not even in Florida, whatever you're doing, right? You're doing something totally different. All right. Totally fine. Totally fine. If you go and you don't understand what the park is looking for, okay, and let's say they expect, I don't know, a particular credit score or a particular income or something like that, and you go and you start showing the house on your own, you start fielding phone calls or handling Facebook Marketplace messages, okay, and you wind up starting to show houses your house to people that you know that you should know darn well they don't have a chance and where opportunity at getting approved. Everybody's kind of wasting their time, right? Your hopes are getting up and their hopes are coming crashing down, and you get upset and you get frustrated. And again, today's training topic is how to sell the home fast, not how to sell the home. It's how to sell the home fast. Okay. So what I would strongly suggest is if you have park management or if you have an HOA or whatever you got going on, if there's any type of like a doorman, if you will, or a front desk lady, whatever term you want to say, if there's any type of that in your housing situation, okay, go to the HOA, go to the park manager, say, hey, park manager, I know my name is Mark. I know I live in the park for the past 5 years and I got approved 5 years ago. How did things change? Where's the credit score at? Where's the money at? Where's the criminal record at? And literally talk to the park manager or talk to the HOA board and get like the heads up on what's going on now, because then you will be able to pre-qualify your potential buyers. So you're not wasting your time. And that's important. That's important. Okay, the next thing you have to look at, and this is going to be the last one before I do a full summary for those who jumped on the call late. The last one is you have got to have realistic timeframes for selling a house. Okay, let me walk you through 2 timelines. Number 1, if you're selling a manufactured home in a park with lot rent, okay, then it has a title, doesn't have a deed. You can usually move pretty quick with these. The mobile home dealer, we can usually sell a home 3 or 4 business days once park approval is done. Okay, you have to understand a basic timeline. So if it's Monday and you need to sell the house 30 days from now, okay, you need to find a cash buyer. Okay, they need to get park approved and you need to set up a deal, get a contract and all that kind of stuff. You're not going to have enough time in 30 days to find a finance buyer. You're just not, because if the house can be financed, if it's newer than a 76, okay, I can tell you after working through probably about 75 to, I don't have my exact numbers, I'm looking at my board, somewhere between 75 and like 80 financed homes the mobile home dealer has done over the past 5 years. Finance deals usually take at least 30, usually 45 days. Okay, so if you're going to accept financing on your home, expect this is probably going to be at least a month. And that's a month after you have a purchase agreement. How long is it going to take you to get a purchase agreement? Well, I don't know. That's pricing, that's marketability, blah, 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 right? But if you have to sell your home fast and you're going to go financing or you're going to offer the ability for the buyer to get financing to buy your home, again, this is going to be at least 30 days. Expect about 6 weeks. Okay, so you have to remember that. So when people say, oh, I've got to sell my house, people will do this all the time. They'll call the mobile home dealer and they'll call us on like a Tuesday and they'll be like, I got to sell the house right away. And we're like, great, how can we help? They're like, I need to sell it by Wednesday at noon. And I just look at the phone and I'm like, buddy, there's no way we can sell this, even if it's a cash buyer, because the buyer has to get approved at the park, which most parks take somewhere between about 3 to 5 business days to approve somebody. Okay. If you're adding financing on top of that, golly, it's going to take at least 6 weeks to close this deal. Oh no, I have to sell it, Mark. I have to sell it, tomorrow in like 3 hours. My worst is I had somebody call me. True story. I had somebody call me about 1.5 years ago. They saw a Facebook ad that we ran, and they called me, and they were in Fort Myers, Florida, and they said, "Hey, I need to sell a house." I said, "Great, I'm happy to help you." The whole thing. And they called me Friday morning. I returned their call Friday at noon, and they said they needed to sell it by 3:00. I said, what do you want to do? They're like, well, you have 3 hours to sell it, mobile home dealer. Like, that's just an unrealistic time frame, right? So if you're looking to sell your house quickly, a couple of things, and I'll tie this together. Number 1, you got to price it to make it the no-brainer opportunity in your neighborhood. Okay, never price it just like other homes are selling for, because those homes are selling, they haven't sold. So always price it. If you need to sell it fast, price it so it's the no-brainer option in your neighborhood. Okay, I'm sorry if that makes people feel like they're giving the house away. I'm sorry, but again, we're trying to sell the house fast. Okay, so number 1, we have to make sure that it's a no-brainer option. Number 2, make sure the house is actually ready to be sold. It doesn't matter if you have boxes in your front driveway or if you have like one of those U-Haul, 5x8 trailers that we've all seen, a million times going down the highway. That does not matter if that's in the driveway. That does not matter if there's boxes in the kitchen. It doesn't matter if there's a pod in your driveway, right? One of those things, they bring a truck and they take it out. That does not matter, guys. It doesn't matter at all. It does matter, okay, if the house looks like a bomb went off because it's so dirty, and the dishwasher is clogged, and the back bathroom doesn't work, and you got 14 cats walking around and all this kind of stuff. You laugh at home. I know some people are laughing right now. I've seen it. I've seen it, which is why I'm mentioning this. Make sure the house is ready to be sold, i.e., make sure the house works. Okay, that's number two. The next one is you have to understand if the house can be financed. Is your house a 76 or older? Chances are it's going to be a cash deal. If it's a cash deal, price the house and be realistic. How much cash do you think the average Joe Schmo is going to have shopping in your neighborhood? Is that 10,000? Is that 20,000? I don't know, but you have to be honest. If the house has to be a cash purchase, okay, or you have to sell it so fast you can't wait for financing, you have to put your buyer hat on, take that seller hat off, okay? Last one, you always got to make sure that you understand how somebody would be approved at the park to buy the home. Again, if you live in a community where there's lot rent, talk to the park manager. If there's an HOA, talk to the HOA. Hey, what is needed for this? Get an idea of what needs to happen so that when you go and you meet with prospective buyers, you're not wasting your time, you're not wasting their time, and you can just cut to the chase and say, hey, this is a 55 and older community. You need to make $3,000 a month. You can't be a felon, and you can only have one dog. Is that going to work for you? And if they say, no, I'm 27 with a pet giraffe, at that point in time, you can be like, thanks so much for calling. This isn't going to work for you. And then go to the next one. Okay. Because so many times we see sellers, they don't understand what even needs to happen with the potential buyer at the park office, and they get super upset. I can't believe they didn't get approved. It's like they haven't worked in a decade. Like they need to have some sort of income, verifiable or disability or anything. And they're like, oh, they had no money. I'm like, what do you mean no money? They're like, no, like they haven't worked. They have no money. And they get all upset. I'm like, well, come on, you have to kind of like work it a little bit to get an idea of if you're wasting your time or if you're not. Last one, please, please, please have realistic timelines. Okay. If you need to sell the house, like that gentleman who called me a couple of years ago and said, I have 3 hours to sell it. Sorry, I just can't help you with that, because again, most park approvals are going to take 3 to 5 business days at a minimum, and financing is generally going to take 30 days. Honestly, it'll take 6 weeks. Okay. So if you need to sell the house pronto and you're like, hey, I need to be out of here in 2 weeks, that's cool. You can definitely sell it in 2 weeks. Probably going to be wasting your time looking for financing or dealing with financing buyers, because they're going to have to go and get all their paperwork together, their tax records, their money, all that kind of stuff. And that's going to go to a company that's going to finance the home. And let me assure you, nobody in these financing companies is going to work overtime for you. Okay. They're going to say, all right, we'll get to it when we get to it. And that's why it's going to be 30 to 45 days. Guys, if you follow those 5 different steps that I just discussed, price it so it's a no-brainer. Make sure the house is ready to sell, i.e. make sure the house works. Understanding if the house can even be financed or if you have to go for a cash deal. Make sure you understand why somebody or how somebody is going to get approved and have realistic timelines. You will be in such a better situation to either work with somebody like the mobile home dealer to get the home sold fast, or to try it on your own and to get the home sold fast. And I hope that provides benefit for you. So try those things if you're trying to sell your home next time and you're trying to sell it very, very quickly. And let me know. Feel free to email me or contact us and let me know if those things helped you next time you're trying to get it sold. So friends, let's take a quick break, and I will jump into the group questions that were emailed me. And I hope you found some value in tonight's training lesson. My, oh my. For all you baseball fans out there, man, it was opening day yesterday, huh? That's pretty cool. Not a huge baseball fan, but for some reason, it's always fun watching the first couple games. To me, it's just fun. And people are excited, and every fan can pop out of the woodwork and say, this is their year. And you can sit there and say, maybe, I don't know, because it's opening day. I just think it's a fun time of year. You got the basketball tournament still going on. Again, I'm not a huge sports guy. It's just kind of a fun time. I know a lot of people are looking at their brackets and saying this didn't work out again, but it's always kind of a fun thing. So if you're a baseball fan, then I salute you. If your team is still in the NCAA tournament, I wish you the best of luck. And if you don't care either way, then hey, more power to you. So, okay, first question. This was a YouTube question. I will mention the person's handle. I think that's what they call it. The title on their screen. So this goes to Terry, Terry, A is an apple 767. Terry A 767 left a message in one of our videos earlier this week, and they said they want to buy a home in a lot rent community, but they are concerned that that if they do so, the lot rent will double in a year and they will be forced out and their home will be taken. Can you please help answer my concern? Well, Terry A767, I appreciate you writing that into us. And let me alleviate your concern. I've talked about this in other live streams, Terry, and so I don't want to go so deep down because I actually committed an entire live stream about 2 months ago to this concern, but I will address it and answer your concern very directly. When you're looking at a home in a community, in a manufactured home community that has lot rent, okay, here is what will answer your main concern with this. If you're concerned about the lot rent doubling, or you mentioned triple in your question here, and you getting kicked out of the park and losing your house, the best thing I can strongly advise you, you didn't say what state you're from, so I'll just assume it could be any state. Find a city, okay? This is going to be completely counterintuitive to what a lot of people talk about in this business, which I think it works. Find a city that you're interested in living in. Okay, pick a city. I don't care what city you're talking about. Okay, I'll use Indiana. Okay, that's where I'm from. Say you want to be in northern Indiana. Okay. So when you say, let's say you want to be, there's a gentleman who's from Kokomo. Say you want to be from Kokomo on this stream. Say you want to be from Kokomo. Say you want to live in Kokomo, Indiana, or Lakeland, Florida, or Dallas, Texas, wherever it is. Okay, find that city. Call around to the general area of the part of the city that you want to be on, the north side of Dallas, the east side of Kokomo, wherever it is. Okay, you can do this on Google very easily. Find that, okay, and then call around to those parks and ask what the lot rent is in those parks. Okay, find out what it would take for you to get approved in those parks. What's the credit requirement? What's the criminal deal? What's the money? What's the lot rent? What does it include? Yes, I understand this is going to take some due diligence. Okay, I understand that. Start finding out in that area. Don't even look at homes. Just find out in that area what the going lot rent is. Okay, now Terry, I'm going to just use a simple number for this illustration. Let's say everybody says that their lot rent is give or take $500. Okay, and just about all of them have a pool, and just about all of them have water included. Okay, you get the idea. Okay, so they're all about $500, and they all just about have a pool. And then Terry, you come across one that says they're $150 and they have a pool and they're in the same area. And you think, hot diggity dog, I found the deal of a lifetime. This is going to set me up for all types of financial success. Terry, that is a problem. That is a 100% red flag, because I've seen this happen dozens of times when you get an idea for what the average lot rent is in the area, and then you find one that is super, super cheap, that still is in the same general area and kind of still has some of the same amenities, the pool, the dog park, that kind of thing, but it's super, super cheap. Avoid that like the plague. And here is why. Okay. Investors who buy mobile home parks, who then buy them and increase the lot rent, or they buy them and they broker them and they flip them to to another, investor. Okay. You have to, again, put your hat on, like I mentioned in the training section of tonight's video. You have to take your hat off of the mobile home buyer, put your hat on as the mobile home park investor. I know this sounds silly, but Terry, hearing me out. If you find a park that is like a third of the lot rent's like a third of every other park in the area, that park is going to be sold sooner rather than later. It's going to be sold to an investor, and investors make money off of increasing lot rent. Okay, so they're going to say, man, I found this park in Kokomo, Indiana, and it's $150, and every other home or every other park in the area is $500. Golly, if I buy that park and just take the lot rent, and this is the term you want to use, to market value, I could immediately take my $150 lot rent and put it to $500, and I'm going to be the same lot rent as everybody else in the area. Well, they're right, because they would be, right? I mean, 150 to 500. But you as the buyer are going to look at this and you're going to say, golly, that's a 300% or even more increase. And you would be right too. If you find a lot rent that is super, super low compared to all the other ones, never buy in that park. that park is the park that more than likely is eventually going to get sold to a buyer. That buyer is then going to take the lot rent to market value, and they're going to jack the lot rent up. Okay. Now, our parks, let's take this in the inverse. If every park in the area is $500, is there going to be an investor who's going to take the park from 500 to like 1,500? No, that's never going to happen. The reason why that's not going to happen, or it's not going to happen very often, if ever at all, is because that is not what market lot rent is. The key is to avoid this huge problem is to do some due diligence. I understand it's going to take you some time. Okay, the mobile home dealer with the mobile home school may or may not be working on an app as we speak to actually help everybody do this. That's for another conversation. But what we are trying to do, I'll just tell you, what we're trying to do is we're going to be the one-stop shop for all mobile home parks in the United States so that you don't have to actually make the phone calls. You can just check out the app and boom, you'll have all the information. But until the app goes live, which is several months from now, then until that happens, yes, you will have to make the phone calls. You'll have to figure out what the lot rent is in the area. And then if you find a lot rent that is super, super cheap, do not buy in that park. That's the easiest way to do that. Now, if you buy in a community, what are the chances that somebody's going to buy it and kick all the people out and redevelop the land? Extremely low. Okay. In my entire career, I've seen that happen twice where they demo a park. And the reason why they demoed the park, and I've talked about this in previous live streams, Terry, they've demoed the park because it was a blessing, honestly, because there were about 150 home sites in the neighborhood. In one park, it was in Clearwater, Florida. There were 155 home sites. There were 4 homes in the park, and it was a drug haven. There were all kinds of, you can imagine what was going on in that neighborhood, but there were literally 4 houses in a 155 home park that were being lived in. It was across the street from an elementary school and a daycare. So those children had to see God knows what on a regular basis. The person who was owning the park was a slumlord. I mean, you can see this is just negative, negative, negative. They bulldozed it and they want to put in a storage facility there. So the kids actually don't have to look at people doing, you can imagine those things when they're out of recess, right? They can be kids and just look at a storage building. Okay. So very rarely are you gonna have to worry about that. But the main thing when you're worried about the park lot rent doubling or tripling, and then you being kicked out, it really doesn't happen. The way to avoid it, to set yourself up for success, is to call around, find the lot rents, and don't buy in the park that is super, super low. Okay, that's the big one. So we have a first voicemail deal here. First voicemail question. This gentleman literally called and left a voicemail, like rang once, he went to voicemail, and he said, hey, this is for the live stream. So he identified himself on the call as Mr. Jimmy. Okay, so this is Mr. Jimmy. If you're on the call, here it is. Okay, Mr. Jimmy called on Friday evening, late Friday evening, and said, is it common for mobile home parks to have storage lots to park boats and RVs? I have one of both. And do I park it in a park with a storage lot, or should I park it under my carport? Okay, Mr. Jimmy. When you're talking about that, do parks have storage lots? Yeah, a lot of parks do. Okay. I would probably say about 70% of the manufactured home communities do have storage lots. Okay. They usually charge you a separate fee to park your RV or to park your boat. Okay. How much is it? I don't know. You're going to have to make that call. Every park's different. Okay. Some parks, if you get out in like the super rural areas, they'll have storage lots and they don't charge. They'll literally just have like a gated area and people park their RVs. They park like their, like if they have like a work van or, you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing, or like a boat, they'll park it there and they don't charge them anything. Okay. A lot of parks will charge you something, whether it's $50 a month, $100 a month. I don't know. You're going to have to call around. Now, the interesting thing about your voicemail question, Mr. Jimmy, was the fact that you said, well, should I just park it under my carport? Well, I'm assuming you're probably talking more of like a boat or like a boat trailer. You have to be very careful with that, Mr. Jimmy, because a lot of parks in their prospectus, for those who don't know, that's essentially the do's and don'ts of a park. They will say you can and cannot do certain things in your carport. Okay. And a lot of them will say you can't park like boats in your carport, or you can't put like trailers in your carport for what they call an extended period of time. Okay. So in that situation, you've got to make sure that you check with the park prospectus. Okay. Don't take my word for it and say, oh yeah, Mark for the mobile home dealer said I could. No. Okay, number one, check for the storage lot. Number two, check for the money that it would cost Mr. Jimmy to park your item in that storage lot. And if you're going to park it in your carport, make sure you check with the park before you do to see if you can do that. Okay, the last thing I would want anybody in our community to do is to do that. The park write them a citation or penalize them because you can't do that. Okay, make sure you check with the park office to see what can you park in your carport. So, as far as putting an RV in your carport, that might be a stretch. We have some homes that we just filmed last week in a town called Lake Wales, Florida. They've got the tallest carports I've ever seen. You could probably put an RV in there, but don't hold my breath. A lot of times the carports are not going to be tall enough for like a big, Class B or like a Super C to park under there. They're just not tall enough. They might be long enough. They're just not tall enough. So, Mr. Jimmy, always find the park that has a storage lot. Check the pricing on the storage lot. If you want to put it in the carport before you do, please check with the park office to make sure that you're going to be okay to do that. Okay, so I hope that helps. Another YouTube question that came in this week. His handle is Davis Sanders 101. He said, "Hey, Mark, I'm from Tacoma, Washington. Fantastic." And he says, "I want to buy a brand new manufactured home from a dealer and transport it to private land that I have on the back of my farm. Cool. What costs should I be aware of and ready to pay for in order to make this idea a reality?" Well, Davis Sanders from Tacoma, Washington, thank you so much for the question. When you're buying a brand new manufactured home from a dealer, what costs are you going to have to be responsible for? Number one, Davis, you want to make sure you understand how much is it going to cost to transport the mobile home. Okay. Most dealers, if you're buying a brand new house, most dealers have transportation companies either they own and they'll do for you, or they have like a buddy who has a transportation company. Okay. So you want to make sure that you factor in the price of transportation. Now, I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, Davis, and I don't know if you're on that live, but a big pro tip to save a bunch of money on a brand new home is to try to get the transportation cost tied into the price of the home, or try to get it comped. Use it as a negotiation tactic. Okay. Because the transportation cost is going to cost a good amount of money. Okay. They have to go and get permits for it. They have to insure the vehicle. They have to do a lot of different things. So your transportation cost is going to be your big money one. The next thing, Davis, is you didn't mention in your question, so I'll just touch on it real fast. How are you getting utilities to your manufactured home on private land in the back of your farm? Okay. Are you tying into city services? Okay. So like city sewer, city water, that kind of stuff. If you are, then you have to factor in what's called a tie-in fee. Okay. A tie-in fee is essentially the fee a county is going to charge you to use and have access to those services. Okay. So like, for instance, the mobile home dealer is located in Manatee County, Florida. Okay. So Manatee County, if you were to put a manufactured home, on land in Manatee County, and you wanted to tie into city services, they're going to charge you so many thousands of dollars to be able to get into that service line. Okay, so that's going to be a cost. Sometimes when you get out in like super rural areas, and Davis, you didn't mention how big your farm is, but sometimes you get out in these certain rural areas and you cannot get access to city services. You can't tie into the sewer and the septic of the city. What do? Well, you have to go and put a well and a septic system in. Okay. A well and a septic system is big money. Okay. The mobile home dealer did a couple well and septic systems when we first started. And again, my information is very old. It's like 3 years old at this point. We did it in South Florida. So I don't know where you're at, Tacoma, Washington. I don't know if that's going to be the same price. Give you a real world number. It cost us, I don't have my exact numbers, but I want to say it was like $50,000 to put a sewer and a septic in, because we could not put we could not get access to city services. Okay. So transportation costs, how are you getting utilities? The next thing you have to do is when you buy a home, you're going to have to pay for what's called a setup crew. Okay. A setup crew is usually provided by the person you're buying the brand new home from. Okay. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a group of men and women. Usually if it's a double wide, usually like 4 or 5 men and women. If it's a single wide, usually 2 or 3. And they're going to come and they are going to set the house up. Okay, like literally set it up, not put furniture in it, you silly goose, not paint the wall, you silly goose. No, but like literally put the sides together, band it, put the banding strips in, drop it on the pillars, all that kind of stuff. Okay. That's gonna be a fee. Some manufactured home brokers are going to put that into the price of the new home. Some are going to nickel and dime you to death, and they're going to charge you if you don't try to negotiate it. Okay, so make sure you have your setup fee and your setup crew accounted for and have a budget for that. Okay, so those are going to be the main things you want to look at, Davis. The transportation costs. How are you getting city service, or how are you getting utilities? Are you getting city services? Are you paying a tie-in fee? Are you physically having to drop a well in a sewer? That's big money. And then also your setup crew. Okay. So that's going to be the things you want to look for. Best of luck to you, Davis. Let us know if you're on the live stream. Then I wish you the best of luck. But yeah, feel free. Let us know how it works out. I'd be excited to hear it. Last question was another YouTube one, and then we'll roll into the group questions here. Last one is going to be from Artman 101. Artman 101. Mark, thanks so much for what you're doing on Thursday nights and the educational videos. You bet, Artman. Quick question for you. I am looking to sell a home, and my mom just passed away. I'm very sorry to hear that. The title is in her name. Can I sell the home because my name is not on the title? Thanks for all you do. Okay, so very common situation. Number one, before we get talking business, I want to apologize. I want to wish you the best. You know, that sounds like that's a rough time, and I hope she's in a better place, and I hope you guys are doing okay. I definitely pray for you on that one. So if your name is not on the title to sell the home, can you sell the home? Yes, sort of. Let me fill this in. If somebody is deceased, okay, let's say your mom passed away, which you said that, so I have to say that. Your mom passed away, your name's not on the title, okay? In that situation, you want to make sure that you have, if she has a will and she's labeling you as the executor of the estate, okay, you want to make sure that you have that ready when you go and try to sell the home, because that basically says, and again, I'm not an attorney, okay, so check this with your local attorney, but essentially that says that yes, you can sell the home, you know, that your mom has, even though you're not on the title, because you're the executor of the estate. You're always going to have to obtain certain things like a death certificate and that kind of stuff. Okay. But you're going to make sure that you have that. You're going to make sure you have something called a power of attorney form that essentially says, yes, you can act on the behalf of your mother's estate. Okay. If you don't have any of that, okay, if you don't have any of that stuff, your mom doesn't have a will, you don't have anything set up, it can be very, very sticky, because in that situation, the home might have to go into what's called probate. And I'm not going to go into this whole thing, but that can be a situation where you might not be able to sell the home. It's going to have to go through some type of a legal proceeding. It could take a few months. It could take a few years. We don't really know. Okay. But you want to make sure that, can you sell it? Yes, you can. But you want to make sure that you've got you as the executor, the death certificate on hand, your ID ready, the title. And you want to make sure the best way to do that is if everything has been left to you from your mother when she passed, the best way to do this is to go and get the house put into your name. That's the easiest way to do it, because then you have the title in your name, and then you can act like you're the owner of the house and not just the executor of the estate. So anytime I work with folks and they're left a home through a deceased family member, I always tell them, if they can, okay, if it's not too emotional, okay, everybody grieves in different ways, but if it's not too emotional, if you have all the paperwork ready to go, it'll be way easier to go to the DMV, get the title put into your name, and then you can work with the broker. You can sell it on your own. You don't have to constantly relive, oh yeah, I have to get the death certificate. Oh, I have to get this. I have to get that. You can kind of put that emotional side, in its own little like compartment, if you will, and then jump in as the owner of the home, because you are, and then be able to run the show. So can you sell it with your name not being on the title? Yes, but you have to make sure you have the paperwork in play. Okay. So again, I'm sorry for your loss, and I hope that helps you out. So guys, that wraps up the questions here today. So that's the second part of our live stream. Again, we do this every single Thursday. Come rain, come shine, come heck, come high water, whatever we do, we bring this information to you every single Thursday at 6 p.m., 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern. We come on here, we talk about it. And I just feel like, in the space in the manufactured home industry, there's that the mobile home dealer is very quickly becoming the front leader. And I couldn't be any more proud to not only be the people who are selling homes, but the people who are providing all of the education and all of the other fun things that we have coming up, because I think this industry really needs somebody to jump forward, and I'm more than happy to do that. So I'll get a quick shot of water, and let's jump through the community questions. Okay, guys, so we got, looks like we have a bunch of questions. The chat's looking active, which is awesome. We got about 15 minutes, and I'll answer as many as I can before we wrap up. All right, I'll go ahead and type this in as well. We got a lot of questions about this on our videos, and they always want to know where to get the ebook and the we have a course and the free PDF, and that's our educational platform, the mobilehomeschool.com. I wrote a book on there. You can purchase. It's very inexpensive. It's like $19. It's a 70-page book going over everything about buying mobile homes. We've got all types of PDFs you can buy. We got free PDFs that if you just want to get the idea of, the 10 biggest mistakes that the people make. And I also do deal reviews, so home reviews. I do several of those every week. If you're interested in having me look over a home that you're looking to purchase and you want a professional's eyes to look at it, then you can definitely jump on the Mobile Home School and set up a time that we can talk, and I can review the home with you live, your specific home, not just any home, your specific home, so that when you get ready to make a purchase, you now have my opinion. And after selling about 600 of these, I have a pretty good idea what we're looking at. So if you're interested in having me review a home with you or for you, then I'm happy to do that. You can schedule that on the site too. So, and if not, if you just want to take a look at the free PDF, we send that out, and that's absolutely free. So I hope you guys enjoy that. Okay, let's jump into the group chat here. Genuine Joy 777, great to see you. Great to see you. You see, my problem exactly. I assume you're trying to sell your house fast. I hope what we talked about today in our educational portion was beneficial for you. Craig, what's up, man? Good to see you in the chat. Good to see you in the chat. Thank you. I appreciate the kind words, Craig. Always good to see you in the chat, brother. You always bring awesome positivity. If you haven't yet done so, please give us a huge smash of the thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, please do that as well. That'd mean the world to us. We put a lot of time, effort, and money into the videos and into doing the content, and growing our subscriber count is always something that we push to do. Ron, Mr. Ron, how are you, sir? Mark, you mentioned that the homeowners are responsible for driveways. If you're just leasing the property, shouldn't the park repair or replace? Now we were looking at driveway conditions on our searching. Yeah, Ron, so you want to make sure that you check with the park prospectus, again, the do's and don'ts of the park, to see who's responsible for the driveway. Okay, we have sold homes at the mobile home dealer where the driveway looks like a bomb went off on it. I'm being funny, but I'm being serious. I mean, there was a home that we sold in Bradenton, Florida, and they had the nastiest driveway I think I've ever seen. Okay, I mean, it was like a roller coaster just to like walk over it. There were so many holes and tree roots and all that kind of stuff. And that particular park put the responsibility on the homeowner to handle the driveway. I've been in a gazillion parks, Ron, and if the driveway's falling apart, then the park jumps in and they resurface it or they whatever. Now, I've never seen a park that's going to pay for like a driveway coating or like epoxy. Okay, so don't expect that. But I have seen a lot of parks, they'll take care of the driveway. Some parks, like very few, they won't, and they'll put that as the responsibility of the homeowner. Do I agree with that? Absolutely not. But I don't own the park either, so it kind of goes both ways. Ron, yeah, spoke with a park officer. She said credit rating not as important as criminal record. Plus, you couldn't Zoom call, have to apply in person. Man, that's gotta be frustrating. Yeah, there are some parks that still do the old school, paper and pencil, mail in the park application deal. Why they do that in 2026 in the midst of internet live streams and artificial intelligence and everything else, why they do that, Ron, brother, I don't know. I don't know. It can obviously be very frustrating. That is for sure. A lot of parks are moving more towards like a portal system where you go online like anything, like you're paying your credit card or whatever, your Netflix account or whatever, and you log in, create like a username and password, and you do everything online. That's how you pay your rent. That's how you do everything. More parks are moving towards that. But there are some parks. I mean, heck, I even know of parks that won't mail. I'm talking snail mail. I've been to parks in the past year that if you don't physically show up in person to fill out the application, there's a park in Seminole, Florida that still does this. If you physically don't walk into the park and fill out the application, you're not going to go to the park. They sure as heck don't have a portal, and they don't even have they don't have even have like the desire to go and like email you the application or snail mail it. So as wild as it sounds, Ron, I have seen parks like that. Like they won't even mail it to you. If you say, "Hey, I'll even cover the postage," they're going to say, "Sorry, you got to be here to physically walk in during these hours and fill it out." Why they do that, I don't know. But yeah, it could definitely be frustrating, Ron. I hear you, man. Karen, Mark, when are you dropping the new videos from Mississippi? Great question, Karen. There's going to be a Mississippi show home walk, like a home show wrap up and walkthrough. That's coming out on this Friday. Okay, so that's going to give you a preview of the next several videos that are coming out for the Mississippi show. But it's about a 5-minute once over. Hey, this is what's going on in the show. I walk through the show. I walk through the trade show. I walk through all the dealer lot, which is where they had all the homes. So that's going to come out this Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern. And then the actual videos are going to be coming out in the coming weeks. Believe it or not, Karen, I actually still have about 25 videos from the Kentucky show in January that need to go out as well. So if you like brand new homes, and I covered, about 20. I filmed about 25 homes in Kentucky and about a dozen homes in Mississippi. So if you're looking for like new homes, I tried to cover everything in both of those home shows. I filmed a beautiful triple wide modular home in Louisville, which is the most expensive house we've ever filmed. I think it's going to market at like $400,000. I filmed that. And I also filmed a tiny home, like a modified tiny home in Mississippi, and it's brand new, and it's going to be $15,000. So I try to go to these home shows and I try to film stuff, not just like, a 2-bed, 2-bath generic double wide. Like I try not to film those, not because they're not good homes, but I try to film things that are going to be unique or very expensive or like very inexpensive. I try to grab homes at these home shows that are going to be, unique products that I feel like the mobile home dealer community will enjoy just because they're different. But we got some awesome ones coming up for sure. Thanks, Karen. Bev72, good to see you in the chat. Hey, Mark, I'm wondering if there are alligators in those ponds at the communities. If there is, do the community remove them? I know there are walking paths in some parks. What are the dangers? Bev, yeah, everyone. I'm assuming you're talking about Florida. In Florida, yeah, we see gators every once in a while. That's kind of just living in Florida. I'm originally not from Florida. I'm originally from Indiana. So that was different when I first got to Florida to see gators, in ponds and stuff. That's kind of a Florida thing. Do they remove them? I don't know. I'm not sure. You'd have to call the specific park that you're interested in. Do I see them all the time? No. But are they there? Yes. It's if you're not from Florida or if you don't live in Florida, when you move to Florida, if you move to Florida, Bev, and you move into a manufactured home community or anywhere, the first hand, and I know it sounds silly, but again, I grew up in a small town in Indiana, for God's sakes. Okay. So it was wild for me to see them the first few times. But as silly as it sounds, Bev, after seeing them a handful of times, you kind of just like, all right, well, there they are. Like, they don't want to mess that they don't want to mess with you as long as you don't mess with them, type of thing. They're not like the horrible creatures that you see in like movies or whatever. Like, be sensible about it. Like, don't flick their nose. Don't have like your little doggy running on a no leash. Kind of common sense things. and you'll be fine. You'll be absolutely fine. Did the parks remove them? I don't know that answer. I don't. Some parks get more involved with that. Some parks do not. So I hope that answers your question. Stella, good to see you in the chat. Hey, Mark, a question. If someone were to purchase a mobile home, this is a good question. If someone were to purchase a mobile home in a 55 and over park, and 9 months later, the park owner decides to change the park to 40, do you have any recourse? I don't know. I don't know, Stella. I think you'd have to check with the. I think you definitely have to check with the park prospectus. Number one. Number two, if that was really a concern for you, I would contact a manufactured home community attorney and ask him and get on the road. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not an attorney. I don't know that answer. I'm sorry. It's a good question though. Yeah, Stella. So you're making a comment about because of the price of communities going up. Yeah, Stella. Here's what I can tell you. Okay, and this is just my opinion. Okay, it's just my opinion. I try not to voice my opinion very often all the time. I try to base it on fact. So this is kind of more of an opinion. I don't have facts to back this up. I think that mobile manufactured home communities are going to become so popular. I really believe this. I believe manufactured home communities are going to become so popular in the next probably in the next 3 to 5 years, that it's going to make everybody's head spin. I think the vacancies that you see in manufactured home communities around the country are going to disappear wholeheartedly in the next 3 to 5 years. I believe that 100% in my bones. I believe manufactured homes on private land are going to skyrocket as well. I believe the whole manufactured home community or manufactured home industry is going to blow up in the next couple of years. And I think if you're owning a home in a park right now, you're sitting on an absolute freaking gold mine. I really believe that in my heart of hearts. Here's why. Here's why I believe this. I believe most parks are going to change from 55 and older to all ages. I believe that's going to happen. Do I have any statistical data or legal evidence? I have none. I have zero. Okay, this is just my opinion. Being in and out of hundreds and hundreds of parks, selling, like I said, over 600 houses, working in parks in other states, brokering mobile home parks, and then also understanding like what a gallon of gas costs. I'm not being political, but you know where I'm going with this. I believe that the need for affordable housing is at an all-time high. I believe the need for just housing in general is at an all-time high. I don't see builders hurrying up to build houses as fast as no, I don't see builders building affordable houses as fast as they need to be built for families to move into or for people, regardless of age. And I think manufactured home communities have a ton of vacant homes and vacant home sites, and they are increasing lot rent yearly. And we've discussed that at no end about why they increase lot rent every year and why it will continue to increase every year, and why it kind of has to increase every year. So I think this is almost a perfect storm. You have affordable housing out there that people, and affordability is a relative term. I get that. Some people say $1,000 a month for lot rent is insane. Some people say $1,000 a month for lot rent is cheap. It goes either way. But I think you have a perfect storm because you have all these folks who need homes, apartment rents going up, single family homes increasing, interest rates continuing to remain relatively high compared to what we have seen in the last five or so years. And then you have manufactured home communities with houses being sold for $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 with $1,000 lot rent. I just think it's a perfect storm and then people are selling their homes because they can't afford the lot rent. And then you have a line of people out the door who are saying, how much is it? $1,000? I'm ready to sign up today. So I think people are going to flock to manufactured home communities once manufactured home community owners realize that they could fill up all of their vacancies with the affordable housing they already have. And I think if they flipped the ages from 55 to all ages, okay, then I think that these mobile home parks would blow up in a good way, in a good way. And I think the owners of the parks are holding on to this pipe dream of it has to be a 55 and older resort, when in reality, they are losing a lot of their customers, that being residents of a park, who can't afford the lot rent because they're on fixed income, whatever disability, whatever their situation is. When yet they have a line of customers at the door who are a single person, a single mom, a single dad, a married couple, an individual, whoever, right? Whoever, who are working is my point. Okay, who have the income and they would love to pay $1,000. They would scream from the hills to pay $1,000 a month in lot rent, to have a pool, to have a dog park, to have a little area where their kid could ride their bicycle and have a swing set, and to buy a $20,000 fixer up home. There is no shortage of people, I think, that would love to do that. And if we really want to be kind of park owners for a second, if you went and increased the lot rent to that 35-year-old with a young daughter, and you said, "Hey, sorry, we're going to increase the lot rent from $1,000 to $1,050 next year," they're going to be like, "Okay, cool. Here you go. Can I pay for the full year right now? Because I can't get anywhere close to this in affordability to have my own house, and I can't even get anywhere close to this to have a similar sized apartment. Cool. I'm thrilled to pay that, and I have a pool, and I have a place I can shoot pool, and I have a carport and laundry and a 2-bed, 2-bath, and my son or daughter can have their own bedroom and paint it a bunch of fun colors and be a kid." There's going to be no shortage of people who are going to sign up for that. And I think once park owners kind of get off the high horse that it has to be in a 55 and older community, and I'm not poking fun at it at all. I'm just looking at this down the road, and I'm looking at this at the immediate need for people. Now, does that mean that if you're on the live stream and you're thinking, "Oh gosh, I want to be in a 55 and older park and I want to do it with kids," is this going to be a concern? No, I don't think it's going to happen, because I don't think that's ever really going to change. But if it did, then I can definitely see customers wanting to flock to that. That's just my thought. Thanks, Mark. P.S. It's called the Gulf of Mexico, not the Gulf of America. Okay. All right. I appreciate that. Appreciate you letting me know that. Thank you so much. I hope the answer to your questions helped as well. You bet, Bev72. I hope that help you out as well. So, friends, I appreciate so much for coming in for a landing here at an hour. I try to keep things nice and tight, try to get as much information as I possibly can here. And we're coming in on that hour. So if you haven't yet done so, please do us a huge favor. Subscribe to the channel. If you haven't yet shot over to the mobilehomeschool.com, I put it right up here in the chat. Come check out what we got going on over there. Download your free PDF of the top 10 biggest mistakes that we see mobile home buyers make. My goal with that is it's a free gift from me to you. I want to make sure that you are as educated as you possibly can. When it's your time to go forward and make your purchase, please, please, please don't make the same mistakes that we see people make every day at the mobile home dealer. That way you can read that document, get a better idea of what's going on with it so that you can be as informed as possible. If you want to move forward with that information, you want to pick up an ebook, we got that. Like I said, it's less than $20. It took me about 5.5 years to write. I'm giving it to you for less than $20. So I hope you find value in the book if you decide to purchase the book as well. If you want me to meet up with you and do a deal review, we can do that. You can schedule that on the website, or you can also sign up for the course and learn everything about buying homes with a video course and how to title a home and all the fun stuff. So depending on what you need, the Mobile Home School can help you out with that 100%. If that's of interest for you, I hope that is, and you enjoy it. So, friends, thank you so much for being a part of this live stream. As always, my name is Mark. You've been with the Mobile Home Dealer, and we'll see you all on the next one. Have a great night, everybody.